I wanted to get to a question that, and they were similar from both Delegate Miller and Delegate Crosby. And it relates around why, the question was, why did existing UI claimants lose their claims and have to start over when Beacon was implemented? And I know I've gotten that question as well. There were those who were receiving benefits. We switched to the new system, and then the folks that weren't having problems started having problems. Can you address that at all?
I can. So many pre-Beacon, pre the new system claimants transitioned into the new system seamlessly and continued receiving payments. For those that did not, for those that the weeks have stopped showing up, or they were receiving payments and then it stopped, that is most often, those claims are probably in that 135,000 that are pending adjudication. And the reasons could be multifaceted. The CARES Act required us to start asking additional questions in our weekly certifications. And I will also point out that the federal government will not allow us to waive the weekly certification requirement. I know that question has been asked as well. But so there used to be approximately 5 simple questions in the weekly certification. The federal government, because of this pandemic and COVID-19, added additional eligibility requirements for COVID-19, which is wonderful, except they require now for all claimants, regular state UI and new CARES Act programs, to answer at least 5 new questions. So that doubles the number of questions that people are answering in their weekly certifications. We found that many of the regular unemployment insurance claimants may have answered a question incorrectly, and we have gone through to try to correct a lot of that in batch and to communicate back and forth with that claimant. We also have a lot of claimants who are receiving payment and whose employer, when they first were laid off and responded to their claim, put in a return to work date. For example, many employers put in a return to work date for their employees as of May 1st or a certain date. So that triggers a stop of their weekly payments, and it triggers a need for our team to contact the employer and get something in writing from them that tells us, no, we're still closed. We want to extend that return to work date. Does that make sense?
It does, but that's also a problem, if you ask me, because it sounds like they're randomly putting in a return to work date when they really have no idea. And because of that, because they're randomly putting that date in, it's stopping benefits, and then you guys are having to go, search through it, and people are losing benefits or at least time when they shouldn't. Is there a way to deal with that? I mean, this isn't a normal situation, as we all agree. So I get that that's normal part of the process, but it's that one particular point, and I was going to actually bring that up because it was stated a few times over in the Senate hearing yesterday, that whole return to work date. How can we do that differently so that I get it's part of the process, but how can we do that differently so we don't needlessly have benefits interrupted and then go back and sort of undo or redo something that we shouldn't be wasting time on?
Sure, I completely understand this concern, and my team has actually spent a lot of time investigating and brainstorming as to how we might address this. One of the biggest problems we have encountered is that, you mentioned that employers might be randomly putting in that return to work date. We have found that many employers very purposefully put in a return to work date, and some of which that we have contacted about this issue have informed us that they wish for that return to work date to remain in place, and they are sending offers to their employees to come back to work. Many of these are essential businesses who, for example, a barber shop that was allowed to reopened to serve essential employees on the front lines. They needed employees to do that job. So they wanted the return to work date to remain. We are hearing from some employers that are having problems with having received PPP loans from the federal government. And those loans, as you probably know, require employees to return to work in order for the employer to have that loan forgiven. So the employer wishes for their employees to come back. We know it's a serious issue, and we're trying to figure out if there are ways that we can look at this, more globally by topic and by industry. For now, we feel it's pretty important for us to reach out and for us to contact that employer, because we obviously want to serve every single claimant filing for benefits, but we also need to serve the employers in our system who are paying taxes and making these benefits available for Marylanders as well. So it's a tricky issue. We will continue to work through it.